Yeah, live stream's going again. Go ahead.
Virginia.
Al, do you perhaps recall if you sent the letter as president of the Morris Park Association?
Yes,
Yes, you did?
yes, I did.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. And we're gonna move on to the next point, which is violation of New York City Charter and CB 11 bylaws. First point is Just Homes, a letter of objection. After a full board vote objecting to a proposal, Vice Chair D'Angelo sent a letter to the chair of the New York City Health and Hospital Board of Directors calling potential clients pedophiles, and did so on behalf of the board without board review, a violation of CB 11 bylaws. Any questions on that?
Al, was this in the capacity of CB 11 or Morris Park?
The letter I wrote was Morris Park, from Morris Park, my board agreed to, and I sent the letter.
God, thank you.
The board did vote, however, to send a letter of objection because the board voted, I believe it was unanimously, to turn down the Just Homes project.
So the board voted to turn down the proposal,
Correct.
and you sent that letter out.
Yes.
Hazel? Mr. Thompson? Anything?
No.
Okay, the next item is Vice Chair D'Angelo has not participated in any standing committee contrary to CB 11 bylaws. While Mr. D'Angelo does not serve on two committees, while Mr. D'Angelo does serve on two committees, leadership and executive, they are mandated by his position as vice chair and are procedural committees, not substantive ones, dealing directly with community issues or city agencies. Unlike the chair, who has sporadically attended other community meetings or committee meetings, Mr. D'Angelo has not done so. Mr. D'Angelo, are you required as vice chair to attend committee meetings?
I'm sorry, I look at the meetings online. I don't attend all the meetings, and there's a reason for that.
You said there's a,
It'll be in my response.
I'm asking you, are you required as vice chair to attend
No, I'm
committee?
not. No, I'm not.
Any questions? Jeanette, any questions? Mr. Thompson?
No, if he's not required to attend these meetings, then why is that an issue here?
It's part of the resolution. It's what we can determine, we can make the
It
determination.
says, though, that it's a requirement in the bylaws, and I do apologize because I'm not familiar enough with the bylaws to know if that is correct. Does anyone here know that?
I don't know offhand if vice chair. I can look it up for you. Especially,
But we will look up whether he's required as vice chair to attend committee meetings.
Eight. Look.
I do want to say that, Chair,
Yes,
I do want to say that I don't ever remember the vice chair attending any committee meetings.
and you would know this because?
No.
I would know this because I was on many committees over the years, and the vice chair has never, to my recollection, whoever was the vice chair, never attended the meetings. And that was economic development and parks.
Any other?
We'll follow up. I mean, if, we'll
We'll
look at,
follow up.
we'll follow up on that one, but not from what we know. We think that the vice chair has to attend more meetings than the two that,
No, I'm just saying they never did.
they never did.
Not if they're required,
Yeah,
but they never did.
yeah.
I mean, I could read you the description that they have for vice chair.
Yeah, I saw that too. Go ahead.
It says the vice chairperson shall, in the absence of the chairperson, have all powers and perform all duties of the chairperson. Upon the occurrence of a vacancy in the office of chairperson, the vice chairperson shall assume the office of acting chairperson until such time as a new chairperson shall have been elected. The vice chairperson shall have such powers and perform such duties as shall be assigned to said person by the chairperson of the community board. The vice chairperson, when holding the position of acting chairperson, shall chair all executive board meetings. And that's basically all they have under there. There may be somewhere different in a different section of the bylaws. I could continue to look into it. But under what the duties are of the vice chair, that's all that it states. You're welcome.
Thank you, yes. Any further questions on that item?
No.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 3 in the resolution, which is the Ethics Committee concerns. In April 2023, Vice Chair D'Angelo wrote an article in the Civic Center section of the Bronx Times, heavily laden with racial stereotypes about Black Americans. When advised of the offensive nature of the piece by several of his board colleagues, the vice chair dismissed their concerns and presented the statement in the op-ed as fact when they were readily refuted. Other than being a violation of the code of conduct in at least 2 ways, Mr. D'Angelo, perhaps aware of the impropriety of writing something this offensive to many, claimed that it was in his capacity as chair of the Morris Park Community Association, and he pinned this op-ed. The code of conduct does not delineate a difference. Furthermore, when named in an internal ethics complaint on the matter, the vice chair retaliated and spuriously ethics complaints against 15 members of the board who had expressed objections to the article in a signed letter to the board president's office. A clear abuse of his authority and the board process. These 15 complaints were all deemed unfounded by the ethics committee. Any questions on that? Now, you want to add anything?
No, just please read my response. It's funny how we met with the ethics committee, and I think it's in my response. The ethics committee ruled, and now we're bringing it up again. So what good is the ethics committee if it's not going to have any power? The ethics committee ruled when it was brought up before the ethics committee that everyone was going to take sensitivity training. And that was the extent of it. And now all of a sudden it's being brought up again. And I really resent the fact that they're trying to label me as a racist. And that's, that just annoys me. But please read my response.
Well, it starts in your complaint. I can read it. In your complaint, you claimed I promoted age-old stereotypes which historically harm Black, brown, and other marginalized people with the use of wildly inaccurate and biased tropes, and quote, I take exception to that statement and challenge you to prove my research does not show the correlation between crime, poverty, and criminal behavior. I did not single out the Black community. My research included Black, white, Hispanics, and Asians. I further resent the fact that you claim my research was biased. Mr. Gray, in a statement at leadership committee meeting said, quote, I would have accepted it more if it came from a Black person, end quote. That statement is discriminatory, and I strongly believe sensitivity training is in order. Sensitivity works both ways. Why did the board not respond to that racist statement? These members abused their power by bringing me to the ethics committee for something that was not their purview. Does that mean at any time any member of the board writes or posts something that another member finds offensive, they have the right to bring charges against them to the ethics committee, end quote. The findings of the ethics committee did not support their claims and only suggested the entire board undergo sensitivity training. The findings were unanimously received by the board, yet the same members who voted unanimously for the agreement are now bringing it up again. Why? Why? All right. Why didn't you reference this article? That's it.
Al, did anybody present to you any facts that refuted the facts that you use or the information? Well, I don't know where you got it from. Did anybody refute that?
The facts that the article I wrote,
Did anyone give you any opposing statistics?
I did present the facts at the Ethics Committee hearing. I also, President Obama wrote this pretty much the same exact thing that I said in the article. And nobody held him to task for that because it's true. What's going on in this community with broken homes and single family homes is destroying our country. And the Black community is being hit hardest. Whether you like the facts or not, it's being hit the hardest. We have to find a way to solve that problem. Yeah, we're not solving the problem.
I'm gonna throw you a lifeline here. Was this already gone? Did this already go through the ethics committee?
It did.
Okay, and what was the result?
The result was it was unfounded, and the only result of the ethics committee
Yep, we have
was
to.
unfounded. I was not charged with anything. Everyone on the board was to take sensitivity training. That was the outcome, and it was voted unanimously. So if it was unanimously voted at the ethics committee, it was adjudicated with the ethics committee. Why is it coming up again now?
Naomi, do you have a comment? I know I see you. No, we can't.
No.
Oh, but
I have a comment.
it's like she's okay.
I have a comment. As a member of the
There we
ethics
go. Yeah, I
committee,
need someone from the ethics committee.
a lot more happened during that meeting. No decision was made by the ethics committee that the information provided in that article was correct. The decision of the ethics committee was incredibly gracious and did suggest that all sides would benefit from a sensitivity training. And that was the outcome. Many other things were.
Jeanette, I have to interrupt you.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You can't.
I can't interrupt her.
No, not this.
You gotta wait for the gallery session.
Yeah, gallery.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to wait for the gallery session. Sorry, I'm not.
You need to. Come on.
No, I'm not going to, and I'm going to tell you why, because I have to
Can
correct.
you mute
I
her,
have to
please?
correct what Jeanette is saying. I have to correct.
Jeremy, can you mute, please?
We have to keep order.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
muting me? That is
Can you
ridiculous.
please mute?
We have to
That's-
keep order. We have to keep order. We
You
can't do
represent
it
the ethics
last time.
committee.
We have to keep order.
So, yeah, I mean, can everybody hear me? I mean,
No, and
Yeah,
then
I have
Jeremy gets to speak. No, can I speak?
yeah, I
please?
know,
This
I
is
know.
ridiculous. That is not right, what you're doing to me. It's not
She
right,
is
because we
literally
just
the
had
chair
an
of the
investigative
ethics
meeting and
committee.
I was allowed to speak. And I
So hold on, Naomi, just hold on. So, yeah, I was allowed to speak. I don't have to speak. I can wait till the end. I did want to speak because because my name was being thrown out there personally. So I want to make sure the record is correct, at least in that regard. So I don't know how the committee wants to handle that.
It's fine. It's fine. Let Jeanette speak. That's okay. I'll wait till gallery.
Yeah, and you don't have to call on me until the gallery as well, but I do want to make sure the record is correct for everybody.
All I know is these meetings they really need to be restructured.
I mean, if I may suggest something, Ellie, you got charges in writing, you got responses in writing. Maybe you guys can discuss it on your own, and at the end, you call on me, Al, Naomi, or anybody.
I'm sorry.
I mean, Al, would you agree to that or no? I mean, it's up to the committee, obviously.
I mean, the ethics committee made a decision. Am I right or wrong? They made a decision. The decision had nothing to do with me being chastised for my article. Am I right or wrong?
So I muted everybody. You can unmute yourself. You should be able to. Veronica, nobody can hear you guys.
Everyone on WebEx, please refrain from speaking at this moment so Jeanette can finish her statement. I'm asking as the highest ranking officer at this moment, because of this committee, I am unfortunately the person in charge of making sure that the committee works. So please let Jeanette finish what she's saying. I don't want anyone else jumping in. Thank you.
What I would like to say is, if my understanding of what occurred at the Ethics Committee is incorrect, I welcome Naomi to share her perspective. My concern is that as someone who was present for that Ethics Committee and heard everyone speak, Al and everyone else involved, whether or not we as a committee settled it and brought a resolution to a motion to the board that they accepted and everyone is going to have a sensitivity training, clearly it was not resolved. It might have had a procedural ending, but there was no actual resolution. In much of what I read here, in both what was said and Al's responses, we have a fact that at a full board meeting, more than half of the members present voted for this committee to be formed and 2 leaders of this board to step down, more than half the members.
What's it got to do with this particular issue?
What it has to do with this is it keeps coming back to, we lose sight of the whole picture with distractions of different pieces. It's not a small group of people, whether they signed the letter or whether they're new people on the board or whether they are more vocal about this. It was 26 or 24, I don't remember the exact number, but we counted it 5 times. More than half of the board, which were members that were not new, some of those members, that were existing members. So to equate this whole situation to a small group of people or to new people is both wrong and insulting. To have, and I'm talking from my opinion here, and I'll own that as my opinion.
Okay,
and
I
my-
need you to address this particular issue, which is the ethics, the article. The article.
The article is part of this issue because the article was
Was it resolved at the ethics committee?
apparently not. Technically, in terms of procedure, yes,
Okay,
but apparently it wasn't.
now, if it wasn't, what does that got to do with Al?
What it has to do with Al is we're questioning whether or not this man, who has represented his community for years and represented this community board for years, should stay in his position or to be asked to step down. And part of that decision has to take into account his present judgment on how he handles things and what he believes. And this is related to what I just said. It's related to this situation here. It's related to every one of these. When I'm speaking right now, I happen to be a senior citizen. I happen to be white. I happen to be Italian American. I happen to be a leader. I happen to be on Community Board 11. I also happen to be president of my board, but I can't choose which hat I want to use at any given time. If I'm going to exist in this world and I'm going to act as a leader, I have to accept that all of those hats are on my head at the same time. And I think that we have to address all of that here. That's all I want to say.
Any further?
No, I appreciate that, and I'm with you on the broader kind of issue that we have with the letter itself, with the op-ed letter. So that's where we're judging, right? Us as this subcommittee. Is that, if the ethics committee did look at this, they did have a resolution. The resolution was sensitivity training. I don't know where it's at, by the way. But we still have the issue outstanding that the letter happened. So that's what we're juggling with at the moment. You were gonna say something? Were you gonna say something?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so you have anything to add?
No,
Al, is there anything else you want to add?
Just two things. There's nothing in that letter that I wrote that wasn't, I mean, in that article that was, first of all, I wrote it as president of the Morris Park Community Association. And when I first was called to the Ethics Committee, I spoke to my lawyer. And they said, there's no way that you can be held responsible from the community board. But I don't want to pursue something like that. And I said, no big deal. That's number one. The fact that I wrote it as president of the Morris Park Association is one thing. The second thing is there anything in there that's not right? One person mentioned the fact that it was old news. It's not old news. This stuff is 2024, 2020, 2023 and 2022.
I'll respond.
So, as I said, I mentioned that President Obama had said the same thing. Clarence Thomas had said the same thing. Many Black community leaders have said the same thing about the single-family homes. This is fact. You can't deny the facts. You may not like the outcome, but I was trying to get across that the single-family homes is hurting our community. And that's not to say that many people haven't risen above it and many single parents haven't done a great job. But I was pointing out that one of the problems in our community is single-family homes. That was it. It was that simple. I wasn't trying to demean anybody or anything else. I put down the facts as I found them.
Al, really quickly. So, as you know, we're a subcommittee investigating this resolution, the resolutions that came up. We can vote a certain manner. If all of us vote, you're not guilty, this still goes to the full board.
Oh, this is going to be guilty. Oh, it's going to be guilty. Are you kidding?
Let me finish. Because the issue is.
Guilty or guilty?
Hold on, let me go. Please.
Miguel.
So the issue that you brought up before is you said you didn't demean anybody or offend anybody, but clearly you did because it came to this to us, to the investigative committee. So I think you should think about that, right? Like we can think you're not guilty and find you not guilty on all these charges, but when we go back to the board, they're voting again. So that's something we need to think about.
Oh, this is a done deal. This is something
Hold on. And let me, before you go.
Excuse me, but it didn't matter what the ethics committee said, and it's
Hold on.
not going to matter what this committee said.
I'll finish with this. This is more than half. So it's not just new people or just, folk. It might, so think about, that's where I think the bigger picture is here. It's not just 10, it's more than half. Okay, that's all I have.
Anybody else?
Oh my God, I was gonna say something I completely forgot.
Okay.
But I have a question, because it makes it sound like you're a little racist. And I want to know, are you a racist? Because as long as I've known you, I've never gotten that feeling about you at all.
Hazel, was that a question to me?
Yeah,
You're asking me if I was racist?
yeah, because
It's for the record.
it's for the record.
No.
Now, and I said, as long as I've known you, I have never felt that about you at all.
No. My brother-in-law my son-in-law happens to be Hispanic. I've worked in the inner city community for most of my life. I've worked with students of all different races and colors, never treated anyone different. There is no one who can ever say that I treated someone different, whether because of their sexual orientation, the color of their skin, or their religion. I've never done that. It's not something I do. And I resented seeing the newspaper, the City Voice or whatever it was, vice chair, something about disparages Black community. That's something I would never do. And anybody who knows me knows better than that. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with, I'm sorry, I'll stop right there.
Okay, great. Thank
Al,
you.
what communities did your article address?
I'm sorry, you went out on me.
What communities did your article address?
The article addressed single-family homes. What's happening in this country with single-family homes and how, it helped people that come from single-family homes. The chances of getting a good education are more difficult. The chances of being incarcerated are better. even health issues are not as good for those people who come from single-family home. There's a myriad of different reasons why single-family homes are adversely affecting our community. That was my article. That was what I was talking about. Had nothing to do with color.
Your article also showed statistics on white, Hispanics, and Asians.
I broke down white, Hispanic, and Asian.
Dr. Capella.
Yeah, I remember what it was, when you were talking about the meeting, or I don't know who was talking about the meeting. The ethics meeting, I know that he did apologize if that article had offended anybody. Am I correct, Al?
Absolutely. My article was not to offend. It was just to bring out facts so that we could fix what's wrong with our families. Oh, that's some of the things, something we have to work on. Throwing money at a situation doesn't help it. We have to go to the core of situations to make them better. It's time for parenting skills and things like that so that, families stay together and not just break up at this, first argument, they're gone.
Okay,
And
thank you.
the child suffers, and his chances of being a productive human being are lessened by it. And that's fact. That's simply fact. And any educated person will tell you that that's what all the statistics show.
All right.
Okay, thank
Ready to
you.
move on,
It
guys?
was definitely not meant to demean anyone.
Any more questions?
I'm good.
Jeanette, you good? Sure. Okay. We're gonna move on now. In response to the Just Homes proposal, the vice chair publicly called for defunding New York City Health and Hospital Corporation, by which Jacoby Medical Center is funded. Jacoby is an important community partner of the board and a critical provider of healthcare services to underserved population members in our district as the only public hospital within and the only level 1 trauma center in the region.
Can I stop you right there? You're gonna read my response, but just because I want to, say it, I spoke to Chris Mastromano, head of the hospital, told him what I intended to do, spoke to the elected officials and told them if they would rattle their sabers and make it sound like they were going to pull funds, maybe, that's all blown now, but maybe, Just Homes would pull back their proposal. So every elected official I spoke to knew in advance of what I was doing, and so did the head of the hospital. But it's in my response.
I think it's page 2. Says,
You want me?
I think it's
And if you don't believe me, somebody can call Chris Mastromano, and I'm sure somebody will, and I'm sure he'll verify it.
I'll read it. I think it starts with, I love Jacoby Medical Center, but I love my community more. What HHS is proposing could be potentially harmful to the surrounding community. In an attempt to convince HHC to find an alternate project, I suggested politicians threaten to withhold funds, hopefully bringing HHC to the table to discuss alternatives. Both the elected officials and the CEO of Jacoby know it was strictly a political ploy. I also mentioned maybe we should protest outside the home of HHC board members. It was simply a suggestion. I guess it's all right for members of Congress, but not for me. None of these were done as vice chair of CB11, although as a board member, I have a right to express my opinion, as do all of you. That was my personal correspondence, having nothing to do with CB11. I also have a right to my opinion, even if it is contrary to the beliefs of some board members. Last time I looked, free speech was protected by the First Amendment. Some members of this board may not like my stand on certain issues, but they are my opinions, and whatever you like them or not, I have a constitutional right to them. Members of this board are attempting to dictate what I can say and what I can't, and that's aberrant to me. Most of my correspondences have been as president of the Morris Park Community Association and my views. You've attempted to link the two, CB11 and the Morris Park Association. In my opinion, this board has been polarized by race and politics. We come from different backgrounds and political persuasions. This should be an asset, not a detriment to this board.
Any Any more questions? Mr. Thompson? Anything? Hazel?
Right now, no.
We're gonna move on to item number 4. Violation of Community Board Code of Conduct. Vice Chair D'Angelo has consistently shared racially charged Facebook posts such as one about, in quotes, trying to sell his white privilege card, in quote, close quote, claiming it got him nothing. Despite being told by community members that these posts are harmful and even removing one in response once he received feedback on his op-ed in the Bronx Times, and the vice chair has persisted in engaging in this behavior. Want to read it to response?
You respond? Oh, you think so? Maybe. Right. Yeah, I see. I think your response is this, I'll go. I'm getting a little tired of the word racism being thrown around for political purposes or to intimidate people into silence. There is a major difference between racism and insensitivity. The definition of racism is discrimination or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior, end quote. Insensitivity is lack of concern for others' feelings. Comedians have made a living using stereotypes to elicit laughs from their audiences. Many use the stereotypes about their own race for that purpose. A perfect example was the comedian Don Rickles. Many of our younger readers probably never heard of him. Just Google his name and you won't be disappointed. Don didn't have a prejudiced bone in his body. He was an equal opportunity abuser. Wearing blackface at a party may be insensitive, not necessarily racist. Referencing Italians to the mafia is insensitive, but not necessarily racist. There is nothing wrong with having pride in one's heritage. In fact, it should be encouraged. There is nothing wrong with ethnic communities. People, especially immigrants, felt more comfortable living in areas which shared the same types of food and customs they were familiar with. The problem arises when we exclude people because they are different and do not share our customs. We fear what we don't understand. Once we learn about other races and religion, we become more understanding and inclusive. Prejudice is learned, not inherent. You can't legislate away prejudice, only prejudicial acts. But we can teach away racism, which will start in the home and continue in our schools and in our government.
That's it. Diana. Sorry.
Politicians have played the race card. Politicians have played the race card repeatedly to divide, and that's criminal because it polarizes the country and forces people to take sides. I'm sure we have all said something that was insensitive one time or another. That doesn't make us racist. And the same holds true for politicians. Show me where his or her policies have been discriminatory to a segment of the population, then we can talk. In the meantime, beware of people who indiscriminately use racism as a political tool. There is no doubt that discrimination exists and must be seriously addressed. We marginalize its importance when we use the term for political gain. Our community is made up of different religions and races which have different customs, traditions, foods, and churches, but we all have similar values. We love our families, love our children, and love our country. How about we start looking for decency and respect from our elected officials and shy away from those who use hate and fear to intimidate us into voting a certain way. If you're looking for perfection, you'll never vote again. A true leader should put the people before party or special interests. I, for one, am tired of the negativity. I have a novel idea. Let's talk about issues and what can be done to make the country better for all people. It seems character assassination and win by any means necessary is the rule of the day. This premise must be rejected by the American people, but we're better than that. That's it.
Any questions?
Al, you do see how being in the leadership position and saying things that some folks may find offensive, how that might get you in trouble though, right? Or no?
I think, again, depending on the leadership position, there, as a member of the association, as a member of the community, I have to say things I feel. I have a right to say things that I feel are unjust, and look at things. You may look at them differently, but I look at things and feel that there's certain things that have to be done to correct certain situations, and I have a right to speak on those. It may not agree with what you speak on. You may speak differently than I, but we're coming up with probably the same conclusions. If we're looking to help the community and to help each other grow, I can say it one way, you can say it another. It doesn't mean that we're adversaries. It means that we have a difference of opinion on how to get there.
But do you see how folks who are looking towards a leadership person in a position like you were in or you are in, how they may be offended or maybe may get upset at some of the language that was used? Yes or no?
I would say I didn't see it as a problem. But when people come out and showed me or turned around and said, look, I felt this way, and one member of the board, Oral called me and spoke to me on the phone, and he gave me his opinion, and I value his opinion. And I told him at that time, if there's anything I said that hurt you hurt your feeling, then I apologize for it. And he said, we talked about something about the race card. And I said, well, he explained to me what white privilege was, what he felt white privilege was, which doesn't have anything to do with me. I saw it as one way. He explained to me it was different. I saw white privilege as saying that I was brought up, I came from the South Bronx. We were poor growing up. So I didn't have any white privilege. He explained to me a different way of looking at it, which I could understand. I took the article down because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings by writing that article. So again, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I saw it one way, he saw it a different way. When we spoke about it, I understood where he was coming from, and in deference to him and anybody of color that might have been upset by it, I withdrew. But again, that article was written as Morris Park Community Association, not Community Board 11. And it was my opinion.
All right, so here we go. Now I have to say this again. So the issue is that you're also vice chair of this community board. So I completely hear you about the Morris Park Association. But if someone sees your name, I think this is what the issue is, right? Some folks may see your name and go, hey, isn't that the vice chair of CB11? So even though your header says Morris Park, you represent also this community district. So I think that's where the issue may be coming from. But you're completely right. You did write it under the Morris Park heading.
But even the things I've written, I mean, they're open for interpretation. There are other points of view on it, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing. And even as a leadership of the community board, if I say something one way and someone says something else, we're open for discussion. We discuss it and we come up with a viable alternative. That's what debate is all about, and that's what different positions are all about.
Yeah, no, and you're completely right about different positions, but the issue is we're having right now actually on the board is something like Facebook, where we can't police or even have folks kind of just say whatever they want and be part of the community board. And these are low-level members, not vice chair. So now we're trying to regulate all of the community board members because we don't want folks just saying anything that comes to mind under the banner of Community Board 11. And that's an issue we're taking up now. So the issue I think we had back then, or they had back then, was you're the vice chair. How can, you as vice chair, you're supposed to be in this leadership position, how are you supposed to represent yourself? I think that's what the resolution is coming from.
I understand, but we also had a board member who turned it around and said, if I was black and I had written the article, it was understandable. Now, isn't that a racist statement? I mean, that's a racist statement, but that's okay because it didn't come from me.
Any further questions?
I never demeaned anyone. I didn't call anybody names. I didn't make fun of anybody. I always conducted myself as a gentleman. That's the way I was brought up. That's the way I've conducted my life.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next point. The vice chair took a leadership role in facilitating the Just Homes public hearing of September 2022. Despite frequent references to his participation as being under the hat of Morris Park Community Association, he was the primary and most senior and highest ranking Bronx Community Board 11 member to appear in the facilitator's role. A clear conflict of interest, as it remained unclear throughout the hearing where his position and the board's official position diverged. Al, can you explain your role at that hearing?
Yes, I was at that hearing as, again, a member of the Morris Park Association, and I was there to support Hazel. Hazel was forced into that meeting by the former chair who set up the meeting, and I spoke out at the meeting because I felt that someone, as Jeremy got up and spoke, please let everyone speak. I said it a number of times, let everyone speak. Everyone has a right to speak, but again, that was not my meeting. I was not chairing that meeting. I was there as a association. I spoke up because many of those people knew me, and I felt that if I said something, ask them to quiet down, they would. Now, I know Michael Case has the video of the whole episode, so I'm sure people can see it. And I spoke a number of times asking people to please let people speak no matter what they, even though they, you don't like what they say, they have a right to say it.
I'll ask Hazel.
My response will be go even further into it.
Where does your response begin? Because I'm lost.
I did not realize I was even doing.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. No, is it? Committee meeting, we talked about it. Oh, you see, no, you're right, yeah. I did not realize I was mandated to attend committee meetings. I attended a committee meeting at Jacoby and was accused of not controlling the meeting. I did not call the Jacoby meeting. It was called by Hazel Mira at the request of then Chair Yahe. Yet the board blamed me for not controlling the meeting, and there wasn't any mention regarding those responsible for the meeting or the person who chaired it. So what my accusers are saying is that anytime I attend a committee meeting and it gets out of control, it becomes my responsibility. Under these circumstances, I prefer to watch the video and stay out of harm's way. I think that's it.
Al, is there anything you want to add to that?
Again, the statement was made that I don't attend enough committee meetings. I attend a committee meeting and it gets out of control, then it's my fault. That had absolutely nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with the disruption of that meeting, and it was disruptive. And it was the first meeting we called was the same way. It was disruptive. We didn't have enough people there, security there to give people their rights to speak. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to me, and it was embarrassing, I'm sure, to Hazel and Jeremy and anybody who was there. I was embarrassed for the association. I was also embarrassed for Community Board 11. People have a right to speak, and no one should be shouted down. You may not agree, but people do have a right to say what they wish.
Can I just say?
It's also, and I also pointed that out. It's unusual. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Hazel. Go ahead.
I just want to say that, for the record, we did not want to have that meeting. That meeting was thrust upon us. And we actually did the very best that we could with what was going on. I thank goodness that Al was there to help. The meeting did get out of control, but it wasn't a meeting that I wanted. It was a meeting that was thrown at me. And,
Hazel, you were at the meeting. Did I stand up and tell people to please quiet down?
oh, yes, thank goodness, because they
Okay,
weren't
thanks.
listening to me.
Because some members said I never did that.
I guess my question is, this is just a logistical question. Were you there as Morris Park community association leadership, or were you there as community board leadership?
Yes, I was there. I was there as president of the association. I also decided I had to stand behind Hazel because it was the tribe, the crowd was getting out of control. I felt most of the people knew me from the association and from the community, that if I got up and said something, asked them to quiet down, they would listen. They didn't. In fact, it got almost confrontational with one or two members that I tried to quiet down because they called me names. They called me a turncoat. They said I was working for the hospital. So that was the way the situation was at that night.
So I saw the video. Yeah, it was a nasty night. So you're saying you went as Morris Park because you felt as if you could relate to folks better than as if you were representing CB11.
I went representing Morris Park.
Hold on, before you go on, then why did you sit with Hazel if you were representing Morris Park?
Because I go to a meeting. It was a Just Homes meeting, and I went representing the community, Morris Park community. I also
with you, and was he sitting as
It was not. He introduced the board members at the beginning of the meeting.
No, hold on, please. Because I'm trying to clarify. Were you running the meeting as Morris Park?
Yes, but I also felt I needed to support Hazel and Jeremy.
No, I think you're right. You're totally right that you can support Hazel, but I think the resolution itself says that you went as Morris Park and not BX community CB11, which is I think confusing to folks. But you see where it's a little weird. No, it's a conflict. You can't go there and represent one thing.
Well, again, I'm president of the Morris Park Association. I'm expected to attend most meetings. So I attended the meeting.
Okay. No further questions.
But again, I have no problem, helping or representing the community board also at that meeting if it was necessary. And I felt at that point that I needed to speak because I felt I could calm the crowd. It didn't work.
Any other questions from the committee? Mr. Thompson, he's doing good.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty good right now.
I do have a question, and I do have it in my response. I didn't call the meeting. Why was I singled out and no one else? Why wasn't Yahe, or I'm sorry, Hazel, or Hazel singled out since it was their meeting, not mine? Strange.
I think the resolution reads because of the conflict of interest. And that's what I was bringing up. It's not that you were there. It's what hat you were wearing. Because under the influence of Morris Park, folks could think that you're against a certain project as Morris Park instead of as CB11. I think it's the conflict of interest where the resolution lies. If you read it, it's not just because it's you. It's because you were wearing a certain hat that day, and that's why I asked.
It wasn't my meeting. Therefore, I went as Morris Park. Had I called the meeting, when I called the meeting at Maestro's, I was president of Morris Park. I take full responsibility for that meeting, and that was a disaster. Also, elected officials were shouted down. The crowd was just out of control. But that was my responsibility. I was at the meeting and I take responsibility with Hazel and Jeremy. If that's the way you want to spread it out, yes. I was there to try to help the community board, but I was there as Morris Park.
Anything else, Al?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. During the discussion on the Just Home proposal, the vice chair posted on Facebook suggesting opponents of the program visit the homes of New York City Health and Hospital board members in protest. Although he did not endorse or encourage violence, considering the highly charged environment and very disturbing posts by others, it was at least encouraging intimidation and harassment.
I read this already, and I think it was the part where he said it was a political ploy. Yeah. I'll read it quickly from the middle. Both the elected officials and the CEO of Jacoby Now was strictly a political ploy. They also maybe we should protest outside our home of HHC board members. It was simply a suggestion. I guess it's all right for members of Congress, but not for me. None of these were done as chair or vice chair of CB11, although as a board member, I have the right to express my opinion, as do all of you. I'll leave it there.
Again, as president of Morris Park, I have a little more leniency. If I was speaking for the board, I would have to get the entire board, the Community Board 11's approval. The approval came from my executive board at the association to make the statements I make. So I do have support with my organization. And again, it was a ploy. It's a political ploy. It's something to try to shake the tree. This, the same way as it was asking the public officials to withhold money. I would never do that to my local hospital since it's it's serving the people in this community. And the chair of the community, the chair of the hospital knew what I was saying because I also sit on the board at Jacoby.
Janet, you have any questions?
Yes. How can you possibly see that some individuals might see it as, I'm going to use your term, a political ploy, that if it's something that you feel strongly about, that as you said, you have more leeway with Morris Park, you can do that as president of Morris Park because you then don't have to pass it by the full board at Community Board 11.
Well, if I was speaking for Community Board 11, I would have to get the okay of the community board before I made that kind of a statement. I couldn't make that statement, willy-nilly.
That's what I'm saying. Can you see how this is a part of why we're here right now?
I'm not getting. I don't understand the question. Say it, please. See again. I'm not hearing too well.
Repeat it again. Can you see how some people can perceive your actions as a political ploy? As you stated, you have leeway as president of the Morris Park Association. So on issues that you feel very strongly about, you can possibly have them come to fruition easier in that capacity, whereas as chair of the Community Board 11, you would have to get full board approval. So by being able to move back and forth between those two worlds, can you not see how some people would perceive that as?
No, the community board voted against the proposal. And, we sent a letter of objection from the community board. That was one aspect. But the Morris Park Association has been fighting 1900 Seminole for over a year. And we've been, we protested, we did many things as the association, not as community board. But that's what you do as a community activist. That's what you do. You fight for your community, and that's what I do.
I'd like to make a comment.
As community board, we took a more legalistic tack where we voted to vote down the proposal. And then it obviously didn't matter to them either because all the people that came out in opposition to it, probably 98%, the HHC board voted 100% unanimously for the proposal. So they didn't want to know what the people had to say. That was a foregone conclusion right from the get-go, as this is.
Mr. President.
Well, in defense of that statement that Al made, when you wear two hats and you're a leader in both hats, two or more hats, sometimes if one organization does not see things your way, and you feel very strongly about it, then you can use your other organization to get the job done. And I think that's that would be true with anybody that's active and that's well informed. That there are certain instances where it fits into the community board and other instances where it fits into the 49 precinct council. And you don't abuse that, but you do use it. So from a community standpoint, and it's your community, well, sometimes you can see things that the rest of the community doesn't see. And therefore, you take action to protect that part of your community. So I think that's kind of the normal way that it happens. I'm not saying that that's the right way or the best way, but I am saying that you see something wrong, and you want to correct it. And if you can't do it one way, you do it another way.
Al, did the Community Board 11 vote against the Just Home proposal?
I'm sorry, one more time, please.
Did Community Board 11 vote against the proposal for Just Homes?
No, Community Board 11 voted for it. I mean, against the proposal, against the proposal for Just Home. I believe it was a unanimous vote. Not sure, but I think it was unanimous.
Any other questions?
Again, the job of the community board is to represent the community, and when you have 98% of the community opposed to it, it would behoove the community board to side with the community.
Mhm.
And yet, there might be some people who disagree with that, but that's okay. They have a right to disagree. It's a right for board members to disagree, even though the majority may be in favor of it. The same way I have a right to disagree with some of the things that, or say whatever I feel like saying, even though it might go against some of the things other people think.
Anything else? No.
No.
Now we're going to move on to the next item. Vice Chair D'Angelo did fail to adequately perform all the duties of Chair Ferrara in her many absences. How many absences did you fail to attend when Bernadette was not available, Al?
I don't know when. I haven't taken step up when I needed to. When Yahe stepped down, I stepped up. When Vitaliano stepped down, I stepped up. So I don't know what that means.
Okay, I'll read it. You say I failed to adequately perform the duties of the chair in her absence. Were the meetings conducted? ? Did they run efficiently ? It amazes me that for more than 10 years, I have been in a leadership role on this board without a complaint and voted into position unanimously most of the time. Suddenly, my leadership style is not adequate. Different people have different leadership styles. There have been no complaints up to now. What's his response?
Yeah, when I'm in charge of something, I put, for example, we have chair people. Those chair people are not responsible. I listen to the chair people. I don't put them in a position and ignore what they have to say. So again, I stand back unless I have to step forward. Many of my meetings are conducted quietly. Jeremy runs most of the meetings. I sit back and let him handle it. If I need to step in, I do. I mean, leadership is not me. It's us. And that's been my style I ran schools the same way.
Mr. Thompson? Anything?
No.
Oh, that's all really.
Yeah. I think we should take a 2-minute break.
2-minute break.
Get water.
And then we'll come back to the gallery session.
Yeah. So the gallery is going to be what?
I'm not going to stop the recording because it was too much of a pain the last time you took a break. So mind what you say.
Just mute us. Yeah.
Is the meeting adjourned?
No, Al, they're taking a 2-minute break.
Minute break.
They're
Okay,
muting themselves, so nobody can hear the chatter.
Veronica?
Yeah,
Veronica, could you ask Miguel to give me a call? I see him there. Give him my number and ask him to give me a call when he gets a chance.
sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you're unmuted, so you can go ahead.
Okay.
Let Jeremy know so he can.
No,
Jeremy,
no,
we're back
I
on.
didn't stop the recording, even though I probably should have, because that was longer than I was expecting.
Okay.
Still recording.
We're going to move to the gallery session. Speakers will receive initial 2 minutes of uninterrupted speaking time. Those registered will be called upon first, but as far as I know, no one is registered. So,
Jeremy would have.
so what I'll do is we'll see who raises their hand. I'll call out your name, and my co-chair will go ahead and keep track of time. Naomi?
Hello and good evening,
Hi.
committee.
Good evening.
Excuse me?
I said good evening.
Oh, good evening. Okay. So I just want to state, for the record, I put everything in the chat that I felt. I do not appreciate being muted. I was commenting on the committee that I chair, and the information that was being provided was incorrect. The vote on case 112, which was the case against Malcolm Gray against Al D'Angelo, was 4-1 in favor of Malcolm Gray. In terms of case, the Just Holmes case, which was a 102, was a 5. It was voted unanimously that we should provide an apology letter based on the handling of that meeting. If you're going to call my name and then someone speaks over me and you calling me, I think I should be able to answer the questions that was asked of me to answer. And sometimes I feel like my intelligence is being insulted because I feel because I was going to provide data and statistics and facts, you didn't want to hear that. And that's not appropriate. And I felt that it was bias that you went over me. Also, I think in terms of Al speaking about people of color, I do state again, like I stated in the meeting that we had, please come with statistics that are accurate, come with information that's accurate if you're going to publicly state things about a certain race. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Naomi.
Can't see what you put in the chat.
I showed it before.
You can ask Jeremy.
Phyllis? You have 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm sorry for not registering, but this was not on the agenda this morning when I checked. I don't know when it got added on, or I would have been there in person. I'm just here to speak in defense of Al. Al is the least racist person that I have ever known, and I've known Al for many, many years. I actually coached CYO basketball, which is a league that Al started in the inner city to give minority children something to do after school. The accusations against him, I feel, are politically motivated. They want to get rid of the old to bring in the new. And it's gotten to a point that it's ridiculous now. So now everyone should really watch what they do and say when they are not in front of the board, because you will be held accountable for everything, whether you're holding rallies in other communities, anything that you're doing, you will be brought up on that also. That's it. That's all I have to say.
That's the idea.
Malcolm?
Hello? How you
Go
doing?
ahead, you're on, Malcolm.
All right, so I'll keep it quick. So nobody ever called Al a racist. I'll just start with that, right? What he wrote in that article was offensive, right? And it wasn't accurate. And I did bring stats. If whether you agree with the stats or whether you want to recognize it, that's up to you. I'll also say that, yeah, I did say what I said in regards, because you don't have the Black experience. As a Black man, you can't speak to me on that level, right? To refute and to understand the things that are going on in my community. In a community where we represent a strong Black demographic, we need to be very careful of things that we say. I do not go out there and say things about any demographic because I don't have the experience, I don't have the history, and I look to others to teach me about themselves and about the communities and the things that they need. And that's what leadership is about. This right here is about accountability. It's about taking responsibility, and it's about leading. I have not seen this yet. It's not about race. It's not about any of that. It's really just about doing the right thing and not making this about politics. I don't know anybody on this board who has really brought their political views to the forefront. Everyone that I know has looked at the data, we look at what we hear from the community, and we make a decision that way. So, I mean, that's about it. You know, I'm disheartened that you called me a racist because I have yet to call you a racist.
30 seconds.
And that's about that.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. Robert, Mr. Press? Phyllis, your
Yes,
hand is
yes.
still up. Phyllis, your hand is still up. Did you want us, we recall them?
Yeah, no.
Okay, Mr. Press, go ahead.
Okay, well, Malcolm said some things about me, but we've reached a friendship agreement about that. And I know I was threatening to sue the board, which I could have made probably $100,000, but my friendship with Malcolm is more important to me than $100,000. Now, we're in the second week of April. In 7 weeks, Bronx Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson will make the decision on both these board members, Al and Bernadette, who are up for reappointment on May 31st. They will either be reappointed for 2 more years by the borough president, and if they're not, they will be off the community board on June 1st, either one or both. At the April 25th board meeting, the nominating committee will be formed, whereas at the May meeting, they will bring out their slate for chair and vice chair and secretary. And then at the June meeting, Community Board 11 will be voting in an election for chair, vice chair, and secretary. I just want to let you know that because the time is drawing close, and maybe you should leave this decision up to the Bronx Borough President to see what she wants to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Press. Anybody else wish to speak during the gallery session? I see folks behind me. Let me turn around.
So,
We'll start with Miguel. Who was first?
No.
Who was first?
That was first.
Okay,
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
okay. I'm
Okay,
ready.
Ms. Finch?
Oh,
Go
wait,
for it.
Jeremy also has.
No.
Just FYI. But go ahead, Diane.
Go ahead, David.
Okay.
Go.
So as an applicant to the board, I know very well what an impact my public statements and comments have on whether or not I can serve on the board. And I would hope that Al D'Angelo would be equally as aware. I was at that ethics committee meeting. I only heard him give a defense of his statistics. I did not hear him apologize. I did not hear him indicate that he understood when so many people said that what he had said in his column was so offensive. At the Just Home public hearing, I went over every second of the full video of that meeting in preparation for my ethics complaint and presentation. In the very beginning of the meeting, Al introduces all the members of the board who are sitting up front. He was there very much on behalf of the board. It was a public hearing of Community Board 11. He was there because Yahe, who had called it, was absent out of the country. What dismays me most about Al's column, about various postings that he's made publicly on Facebook, such as the one about absenteeism in schools, is that it demonstrates that he is so out of touch with the whole community. And I think every point in that resolution is connected to every other
30
point.
seconds.
The fact that he didn't attend the committee meetings, if he cares so much about housing, about education, about the performance of different demographic groups in the district in these categories, why does he never go to
10 seconds.
a committee meeting, a housing committee meeting, an education committee meeting,
Last thoughts.
raise the issues and learn from his fellow board members who represent those demographics?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who is the next speaker?
I think Jeremy.
Jeremy?
Do you want to like bring
Jeremy?
something?
yeah,
Jeremy?
just real brief. I put a question in the chat, which I deleted because I got a complaint about it. Because people are complaining that I take sides or I don't say enough or whatever. I have no qualms defending Mr. D'Angelo or Ms. Ferrara whenever they're right or, you know, whenever correcting or setting the record straight. So the question I have, I'm going to submit to the committee because privately, I mean, unless you want me to do it publicly, but again, I don't want to give the impression of taking sides either way, which is why I prefer not to speak unless I'm called upon, regardless of whether I have, I mean, you know, I've been involved with a lot of these situations, so I know exactly what happened here or there. But again, I'm not going to speak unless called upon. That's okay.
I don't think that is okay.
Well, that was 45 seconds. Okay,
You should ask comments, just yes.
I think he should speak. That's what I was just.
yeah, no,
saying.
I don't, that's what we
This is
just
the time
called
to
upon him
speak
to speak.
about-
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
about
You
this
ready?
case.
You're gonna have 2 minutes starting now. Go ahead, Jeremy, 2 minutes.
Speak about what though?
I don't know, you wanted the time.
No, I mean, I just said what I needed to. If there's something
Okay.
specific anybody wants me to address, I'll be happy to do that. But again, otherwise I'm going to submit my question to the committee privately.
So I have a question. Can you please elaborate on the meeting that went into executive session where you felt that some information was provided that was incorrect?
Naomi, please.
I think it's.
I'm sorry, am I not allowed to ask any questions? I'm sorry.
No, it's our committee.
It's like crazy.
our
What's
committee.
the rules?
Hold
What's
on.
the rules?
Naomi, please.
Hold on. So Naomi, what we're not doing is what we did last time where we were all asking questions. Only the committee can ask questions. Because last time it went 5 hours.
Thank you for letting me know. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, that's why that's what we interrupted.
Thank you. That's all you have to do. Thank you.
As a community board member,
No,
she
no,
had
no, stop there.
We got 2 minute gallery.
Yeah, only two.
as a chair of this particular committee, is she not given grace?
What committee?
She's not a chair of the committee, but we're talking about
No,
ethics.
no.
No, but that's what we called on her for.
As a part of the committee board.
Yes, we gave.
And how is it fair that Al gets a clean slate?
Well, it's his
You have to
case.
get a clean slate.
Well, no, Al gets this,
Okay, just.
Grace.
That was part of what I.
to,
I
like Bernadette has to sit
stated,
there.
excuse me,
and go through
I
the-
stated at the full board meeting that this meeting was going to be held differently, that board members who are not on the committee are going to be considered gallery. We didn't want a 4-hour meeting again. So that's why people who are not on the investigative committee are considered gallery. There's no arguing that fact. That's the way it is. Okay, the committee agreed to it, and that's what
Would
it
you
is.
think that it's fair for Goose Cantor though?
Okay.
And well, Al is the one that's in being questioned because he's the subject of the item, so he does have a right to speak.
You have 2 minutes.
What-
Wait,
ready.
Hold on.
really quickly, because I haven't said anything, but what gives me pause, and I wasn't there when you said that. What gives me pause is that Ms. Pemberton, being not part of this, investigative committee, but the chair of the ethics, if she has something to say, we should hear her. And
She
that's
did.
She did, she
not-
spoke.
I know, I was here when she spoke, but she was saying something right now, and I think that a 30-second grace or whatever it is not gonna keep us here until 11 o'clock at night.
She can come back on
Right.
at the end of the line. Yeah, for sure.
And it was absolutely germane to the.
Rena, thank you for
Yeah.
sticking up for me, but I
you go.
was just trying to help Jeremy because Jeremy was saying he had something to say, but he wants to keep it to the private. So I just wanted to see what he wanted to say because it's important that right now, while we're doing this, right? Because this is hard enough. All information should be transparent, whatever it is.
We're gonna
That's all I
stay,
wanna say.
we're gonna stay on track. Cynthia, go ahead.
Okay, so just a couple of things. I would have prepared statements, but I did not know that this is what we were going to be hearing today because there was no agenda posted in a timely manner. So I was completely oblivious to the fact that this was
Yeah.
the situation and I did not prepare for any questions, comments, or objections. Secondly, I do think, although I understand that you did mention it at the full board meeting, I don't think that a change in managing the way that I understand interest of time. I do. However, I think that it should have been the same format somehow, some way, because one person had a certain, freedom to speak. People were able to, address those points, whether they were false, unfalse, mischaracterized, whatever. People had the opportunity to jump in and rebut. Here, we don't really have that opportunity. And so, I'm just a little verklempt at the way this has come about tonight. I did not know this was the agenda item.
If I remember correctly, I did mention at the full board that
Yes.
this was gonna be happening, so
Yes,
if the agenda was put up saying TBD, and as soon as we saw that, Ellie addressed it to ask that it be put on correctly, that, because we did discuss it at the full board, that Al's resolution was gonna be discussed tonight, so it,
but
It's
we
not-
also had Bernadette's to complete, and so I thought that we
No.
were going to finish addressing that, and without an agenda, we know agendas change all the time.
Mhm.
We have the best laid plans for addressing this point at this meeting, and then at the last minute, meetings get canceled, agenda items change, whatever. So I couldn't walk in under the, expectation
20
that
seconds.
this was what we were going to hear today. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miguel?
I just have a few points. The first is that, again, I think that it's just unfair that Bernadette had to sit on the hot seat for quite some time. Of course, it took 4 hours, but if it would have went by the bylaws, then we wouldn't have had that at all. So it becomes a problem in that now she can say, well, why did I have to go through that when Al didn't?
Don't speak for her.
I'm not speaking for her. I'm saying that it's not fair in general. Okay, I'm not speaking for her. Everybody knows my relationship with her. I'm certainly not so that characterization,
Go ahead.
I will take issue with.
Okay, move on.
Okay, moving on. I just think that considering the electricity that is surrounding this situation, having a stable, this is what we're gonna do, this is who said what, and whatever. And at the same time, I want to reiterate exactly what Jeanette said. This is not a contentious issue. The votes that were made in November, we are now in April. In November,
30 seconds.
the votes were made and they were not even close. So the fact that it has taken this long, and I've said this to you guys before, the fact that it's taken this long, and I love you, Veronica, but Ellie, that's on you.
No, it's not on me.
You're the chair.
No, it's not on me.
You're the chair.
I was just
10
appointed,
seconds.
Miguel. I was just appointed.
Okay.
But it's not on me.
I'm gonna reclaim my time because I'm.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll give you 10 more seconds.
In any event, regardless of whose fault it is, it should not take 6 months to finally get to the nitty gritty.
That's it.
may I speak, Chair?
Sure.
If you're gonna blame anyone for the time it took, it's my fault. Because I had a decision to try and make the best possible committee that would come to a fair agreement without it being uneven, and it's very hard. Okay, and I had to give people the opportunity to say no because, and I've stated this before many times, this is not the committee many people want to be on. This is a very hard decision to have to make. I needed people that I believe to be honest, to be open to listening to things and to come to a fair decision. These 5 people here at this table, I have absolute faith in, every single one of them. Okay, so yes, it took me a while because I can't just say, okay, you, and you. It did take me a while to do it because I needed to make sure that whatever decision I came to was going to be just, not only for the people that voted yes to start these discussions, but also for the people that are there. I know there's concerns and I don't take them lightly. So I don't want it to be an uneven thing. I wanted to make sure that I could pick the best possible committee that could come to a fair decision, whatever that decision is. I support them 100%, whatever their decision is. I kept myself off the committee because I didn't want to influence anybody on whatever my decision might be. So their decision is what goes to the full board, and that'll be the referral. And then this full board votes on it from there. But yes, it did take me a while because I had to reach out to people. People had to have the right to say yes or no. And I don't know everybody. So I had to get to know people a little bit more to be able to see what their characters are. And of course, I couldn't put people on that were for my understanding, part of the resolution, that had issues. I wanted people who came just with a blank, kind of a blank slate. For the most part, everybody has something in their head when they start. No one's coming to this table saying, I don't have any decision. Everybody comes to this table with something. But they're willing to listen and they're willing to look at the facts and everything and come to a decision. And that's all I'll say, but I'm trying to be as fair as possible to everyone on the board because this affects the whole board, not just them.
I'd like 20 seconds.
Sure.
If I can.
Go ahead.
I absolutely realized it was an impossible task, for sure. But there at the last meeting that this committee had,
10
there was
seconds.
clear bias, like very like stated bias. And then if anybody that's actually looking at it,
Time.
I'd like to say something. I have to believe in this process because I believe that this committee and how it completes its journey is critically important to the health and well-being of the community board. I have to believe that we are going to gather the information and make a decision and have that decision prior to the borough president making any decision or prior to the clock running out, because if we don't, I don't know that this board can survive that. So we made mistakes in how we got to this point, but I believe that we are all well-meaning. And I'm going to respectfully ask that we can continue this process because I don't want that clock to run out.
Okay. Yep. I have a quick comment about the rules themselves. Veronica's right, and I totally understand where she's coming from. I think for the bylaws committee in the future, you have to put a time period for what it says here. The highest ranking officer who is not subject to removal proceedings shall appoint a committee of no less than 3, yada, yada, yada. That phrase has to have a time limit. To be honest, Veronica could have ran out the clock and no one could be mad at her because she's not violating the rules. I think if you're gonna update this, you have to have a time period. What you have 30 days from whatever to sit down and have a meeting, because there's
It's very vague.
it's very vague. So you could have done whatever you wanted and no one could have gotten mad at you because the rule's not there. So you did your best. But for the future, if this ever happens again, for the future board members, we have to fix that line because it's very vague. That's all.
I agree, there's not a lot of direction. in
No,
that
I'm
one
reading it
town.
now. It's just no time. You
So
could
we're-
have taken 2 years. No one's saying.
We're basically doing this all for the first time, so there's gonna be changes made as we go along. Unfortunately, that's it.
it's just a big drop. Call vote.
I didn't want to let the clock run out.
Do we have any more speakers for the gallery session?
If we don't have a speaker, Jeremy, if you have a question to ask this committee, you should do it now.
Malcolm, your hand's still up.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll take it down now.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I have a question, but again, I don't want to appear to be taking sides. So,
Just ask the question.
I mean, okay, so I'm sitting on an ethics complaint, which I was going to file, but then this stuff started happening. And again, I don't want to appear to be taking sides. So should I file the ethics complaint now? Should I wait till this whole process is over? What do you recommend? This is regarding an incident that occurred in October.
This is an ethics, though. Can we do that here? No, we can't.
No.
We can't. I
Well,
think you have to go to.
I mean, I can file it with ethics, but it's
But
going
now
to
we're
be,
waiting.
I'm just worried about how it's going to be perceived, the timing of this.
Jeremy, I think the best that the committee can advise you is to do what you feel is best for you. We can't really tell you when to file it. I'm not part of the committee. I'm speaking for them, which I really shouldn't be, so I apologize. Ellie, you should be the one to speak.
I just said that. He can do, I think that you need to do what you feel is right for you.
Again, this is, I mean, I don't know if people realize this. Unfortunately, I feel like too many people don't realize this. Generally speaking, I always try to act in the best interest of the board because that is who I work for. So it's not necessarily about me. If it's about me, it would be totally different. But again, I don't act in that way. So it's really about the board. I want to respect what the committee's doing or trying to do, whether it's this committee, ethics committee, and the board as a whole. For the record.
I think we have to look at the resolutions in front of us.
Yes.
Right? And we can't go out of those bounds. I think if there is an issue in terms of a new ethics complaint, it should go to the ethics committee,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, yeah, fine. All right. Thanks.
We're gonna vote on what the
Well, we can.
resolutions are in front of us. Okay, that's all.
Is there any more speakers in the gallery session?
Can I respond to some of the comments? It's, when the gallery session's over?
Go ahead, Al.
Only if we get to respond back.
Go ahead, Al. It's his resolution.
All right, first, Ms. Finch made a comment. She made two comments. One, she spoke to me after the first ethics committee, and when I mentioned to her that I did try to stop the crowd from being unruly, she said I never did that. So if she watched the videotape, she was not telling the truth. And then she turned around and says, I'm out of touch with the community. If I'm out of touch with the community, I voted with the community most of the time. Unlike Ms. Finch, who has voted against the community many times. 1900 is a perfect example. I've been in this community and working as an activist for 40 years. Don't tell me I'm out of touch with the community. That's all. Thank you.
May I respond?
Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing. Ms. Pemberton said that I should get my facts straight. No one disputed my facts.
I did.
Yes.
I disputed them also multiple times.
No,
It's on tape.
Sorry, you
It's on
didn't
tape.
dispute the facts. You told me what you did in college.
No, I didn't tell you anything about college. I
Not you,
disputed your
Malcolm
facts
did.
and I gave you the times and the timeframes that your statistics were produced.
Naomi,
Please, I gave you the areas where I found.
We can't go back and forth for everyone one-on-one.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to get into a debate.
gallery section. Is there
That's it.
any more comment to the gallery
done.
section?
Okay.
Wendy?
I'll make a closing statement when it's my chance to.
Wendy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just quickly. And I really wasn't gonna say anything, but Al, you were asked the question, are you a racist? No, I don't think you are racist. I think you're misinformed. I think the problem is that the way society is today and how political is right now, the messaging that you're saying, it plays into what's being said about my community. And for that, I have a problem with, because the question that I have for you is, with all of the feelings and the statistics and all the information that you have regarding the African-American household, single parent household, have you ever partnered with the NAACP? Have you ever said, hold on, we have a political party that's trying to take money away from historical Black colleges? We have a situation where DEI is being attacked. We have a situation, and you are in the educational system, where the education for minorities, we have to fight for. So again, partnering, speaking up and saying, okay, here's the situation, and here's how we resolve the situation. I don't get that from you. Now, again, I stand for saying misinformed. Why there is a lot of single Black households and men incarcerated in jail, we can go back to Reaganomics. We can go back to the war on drugs. There are many historical factors that play into what's going on now within the African American community. So I say to you, Al, have you ever partnered with the NAACP or any type of nonprofit?
I was endorsed when I ran for community school board. I was endorsed by the NAACP. That's number one. I've worked with inner city children, been a big brother, tutored students after school so they can get into colleges, mostly minority students. I have an empathy for people who are downtrodden. And I don't mean Black community, I mean anyone who is discriminated against in any way. It's not okay. That's not what this country is about. You made a statement before that I may not be aware of what's going on. I pretty much try to be aware, and I'm willing to listen to anyone. And as I said, my comment was not to hurt anyone's feelings. My comment was to give people facts, and those facts need to be worked on. I don't know how to do it because it's not something that's a quick fix. You don't fix families right away. That's going to be generations to do. But we have to start somewhere. And we're not doing anything. We throw money at situations and we don't get anything done. The educational system is very important to me. And you mentioned racism before. Racism is something that is learned. It's taught from childhood. You can't get rid of discrimination. You can teach it away. You can't legislate it away. Prejudice is not legislated away. You have to turn around and educate the children that that's not the way to be. And by dividing this country, by turning around and even on the board, the first Yemenis chairperson of Community Board 11, that's dividing us. He got the position because he deserved the position. Let's not delineate people because of their color. When we stop talking about people's color is when prejudice will go away. And that's not happening. We're using it more and more. We go back to the Johnson administration. You want to talk about where the Black family started to suffer? It was during the Johnson administration.
Al, let's not go back and forth here. Let's just
Okay.
All
right.
Statements.
Look at the Johnson administration and you'll get your
You're done. Wendy, you done?
Your time is up.
No one. She had like 10 seconds.
You have 10 seconds, Wendy. Anything else?
I just really have a problem with the facts that are being stated. I just want to state that.
Please don't interrupt.
Efren, please.
Wait, may I just respond to what Al said about
She was
me?
called
He
by name.
called me a liar.
She was called by name.
Sure. 30 seconds. Go.
When I said that you were out of touch, I meant with the wider community board district, Parkside, Bronx Park East, the Spanish-speaking immigrants who have moved in droves
15
in the
seconds.
last few years. The community that you represent is a very homogeneous community.
5 seconds.
Right around Seminole, Indian Village, Morris Park.
Thank you, Dan.
Efrain Gonzalez.
Let me know when you're ready.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say, and I know Al D'Angelo for some years, not as long as other people, but we just had a veterans breakfast, and it was for all veterans. He has a heart. Everybody's heart might be presented in a way that may not be to the liking of everybody because he just doesn't have a script. He's just the way that he is, and he's a very loving man of the community, and he doesn't go around attacking people in other parts of this community. I really respect him for that. I also want to just make a recommendation, Mr. Chair, because this meeting has started to weigh in, and there are issues here. I do recommend, Mr. Chair, that if there's any issues regarding bylaws, that people take the time to do that. I will ask people to be mindful that if you are in the middle of a back and forth with a member and you're going to have some kind of, you should actually recuse yourself, because this is what I'm seeing. I go through this even with members at the local union that I'm at. So learning the way that we do procedure is very important. But no way as this community hating Al D'Angelo. I just feel that they are,
30 seconds.
there is this bias towards and I don't want to get into the back and forth, but I want people to just be mindful that you got to take the higher ground here, but you have to be respectful of the process. And Mr. Chair, I recommend that this committee, Mr. Chair, let the board know that the bylaws committee should settle any issues regarding procedures. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm way off board.
Yeah. I think closing statement.
Okay, Al, you got a closing statement?
I think we should give him 5 minutes.
Okay, you got it.
I have 5 minutes to do your closing statement, okay? Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, myself? But is that what you asked for?
Yes, yeah, well, you're the last agenda item.
I'll be brief. I thank the board for the courtesy, your questions, for putting in the time that it takes to run one of these meetings. But unfortunately, I feel whatever decision you make is a foregone conclusion. I think the decision has already been made. Unfortunately, the Ethics Committee made one decision and we revisited the same problems again. You will make a decision, and whichever way it goes, I'm sure it's not going to change too many people's minds. The 22 people that voted one way, I'm sure the same 22 people will vote the same way again. Unfortunately, this seems to be more politically motivated than anything else, and that's sad. We have a diverse group on this community board, which should make us stronger, and it hasn't done that. It's divided us, and that's a shame. We have young people that came on the board, new people that came on the board. I'm an old timer. I'm 81 years old. I've been serving this community for over 50 years. I've done it with pride. I've done it the best I could. Not always perfect, because I don't think anyone is, but I've done the best I could with what I have. And that's all I can say. And I just, again, I thank you. And I ask people to make the decision that's right. If you think it's right to throw us off the board, fine, do that. Don't do it because it's racially motivated. It's amazing that we have 5 members on the board. All of a sudden, we're only picking a 2. Why? You wanted to make change. Somebody mentioned that they wanted to make changes to the board. Well, you only picked 2. Why not make changes with 5? I think this is something that's been set up from the get-go, and it's sad because that's not the way we're supposed to work. We're supposed to work as a unit, and we're not doing that. And in your heart, what I'm talking about is true. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay.
All right.
So we're going to move the agenda. The next item is motions. So we prepared to make a motion.
No.
Excuse me, guys. You don't mind if I sign off, please? My daughter just got home from Puerto Rico, and I want to go and see her for a while. All right. Is there anything else you need from me?
I don't think so.
No.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Al.
Have a good night.
Al said that the vote is about taking him off the board. I just wanted.
No.
I know, I just wanted you guys
Yeah,
to
we know.
clarify.
Yeah.
for the
Yes,
record.
it's just his position.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not ready to do a motion.
Neither am I.
I'm not either.
Sweet, but you know what? If we're not ready to make a motion, I would like us to meet next week.
Yeah, I could meet tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever we have to meet, we should meet.
Go be a
No, I'm
nice,
joking. I'm not gonna meet tomorrow.
but we should, at the next meeting, I would like to resolve both resolutions. Bernadette,
And I'll say this publicly for everyone. I'm thinking of metrics of how we're gonna do this. I already have one in mind. And I'll send them out to you guys and I want it to be sort of a voting matrix in the way we could present our vote. I want it to be as logical as possible. It's like a logic matrix.
sure.
Okay.
I look forward to that.
So
The calendar is up on the screen.
can we pick a date now?
Yeah.
The only day available next week is the 19th.
Is every,
Yeah.
good.
but that's a day.
It cannot be on a Friday.
Why?
Unless you did it earlier in the day, but you really run the
Right.
risk of running into-
Lower the window on that, Veronica.
Lower.
On the right to the right.
Probably it's not gonna work.
Right there. Can we meet at 6 o'clock on the 11th?
On the 11th?
For the meetings.
You got a full board meeting.
No, the 11th, there's a 7 p.m. and there's a 1 p.m. But can we do a 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m.?
Do you feel
Yeah.
confident that this won't run into the next
Well, I
meeting?
think we're gonna just talk and vote.
On the 11th?
Well, I mean,
No, I think we need more
Are
time.
we done with Bernadette? I
No,
No.
we still have to get some information that we requested of Bernadette, that we have not been provided.
I think
The
it was
issue
also
about how
there.
many emails went out, how many were requested, how many went out, the issue about the library. So we still have issues there.
Yeah, we do have issues with her. We better bring her back before we close this
So
up.
just for clarification, Fridays, because there are some board members and some public, obviously, that observe the Sabbath.
Yeah, we can't do it.
I think it's, and I could be wrong, someone correct me, I think by sundown, they're not able to join the meeting, so that's why we typically don't have it on Fridays. The 22nd is technically the first day of Passover, so that again would interfere with some people being able to join the meetings. So this is just, this month is kind of hard, so, I mean, we can, if you want to meet.
Can we do it Monday, the 15th from 6 to 7? I think.
Can we do 5:30 maybe?
I can do 5:30.
Yeah,
Can we do 5:30?
I can make time for that.
yes.
Yeah,
Joe, Hazel,
Push the ethics back to.
I can. Paige?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 15th is good for me.
Okay, so let's do 5:30.
That's a good suggestion.
so you can ask,
Can we ask
Naomi, she's online, and hold on, I think I just messed this up.
if she can move hers
She
aside?
did send me an agenda today.
Yeah,
If you want to cancel, we can, and you can take the date. This is important. So I'm fine.
Move it.
Naomi, do we have anything to vote on or to make a motion on?
No,
This
not at
meeting?
this time. Not at this time.
And I think our guest canceled, I think, or,
Yeah, I was just changing the topic.
okay, so I mean, as chair, if you don't mind, if the ethics committee takes that spot, since we don't really have much to go over, and we could just cancel for 1 month.
Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you, Naomi.
You might want to also just check in with your committee members. I got complaint last week about chairs canceling the meeting without consulting their members.
2 of them are right here, and I don't think we have an issue with it.
Yeah, we're just putting it out there. It's just
Three
good
of us are
practice for everybody too, you know?
So we're
Okay.
good?
So what time?
Well, but Veronica and I are making a decision to give that time over to this committee. I will email the committee members and let them know that this is what the decision was made.
Thank you, Naomi. Really appreciate
Is it,
that.
what time are we doing? Is it 6 or 7?
7.
7? Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Okay.
What date is it?
The 15th.
A week from
Today.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
7? That's good.
Old business, we're gonna follow up with Bernadette's.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think some information you were requiring
Yeah.
from Jeremy also.
Yeah.
So
I think what I need to do is I need to put that in writing.
yeah, let's send it to Jeremy this
Yeah.
week.
Yep.
What more? We asked him for some rebuttals.
Is there
Yeah,
any?
please send me an email because I don't exactly remember. I mean, I know we
Yeah.
talked about something.
Yeah.
Any new business?
Done.
Seeing none, hearing none, you gonna, a motion to adjourn?
Well,
Well,
say aye.
hold on, Veronica, you said, sorry, I know I'm not a member of the committee, but we did discuss something about discussing publicly about
Oh.
one member's position, which came up already in the gallery tonight.
I thought we talked about that in the board meeting.
No, he
No,
just
what I'm
spoke
saying-
a statement because he wasn't.
Oh, okay. Are you prepared to make a statement, Joe? About what you said at the last meeting regarding your position with Bernadette?
My position is, look, I'm gonna be fair.
Same thing.
Hold on.
And,
All right, everybody,
Hold on, hold on.
let's give Joe the time.
Sorry.
Yeah, if I gave the impression that I'd already made up my mind, I haven't. I just wanted to make sure that some of the facts were presented and some of the past and some of the things that people have done. People have done a lot of things that nobody here is aware of. They've done some great things, they've done some bad things. But as far as this is concerned, if the facts warrant a dismissal, then the facts warrant a dismissal. So I just want everybody to know that, yeah, I have an open mind when it comes to this particular situation. And prove it one way or the other. I can discern evidence better than most people. So I think I'm pretty fair with that. I'm in favor of a lot of people. And I like a lot of people, and I think a lot of people have done a great job. But sometimes you miss. And sometimes those people are doing the wrong things. And if they're doing the wrong things, then I'm against it. And as simple as that.
Okay with that? Is there a
And the
motion?
committee's okay with that, and everybody else is okay with that?
So
Is there a motion?
I have no problem, believe me. I go with evidence. That's my previous profession.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ellie, just take the time.
The time is 9:34. If the meeting comes to a closure.
Good job.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
See you next week.